Hormones travel through the bloodstream. This is different compared to neurotransmitters because neurotransmitters travel through neurons. Pretty much, if it travels through the blood via the circulatory system, it is a hormone. If it travels through nerves via the nervous system, it is a neurotransmitter. There are many different types of hormones that are different due to their structure. The first are peptide hormones, which are proteins. Peptide hormones are hydrophilic, which means they interact with water. The cell membrane is hydrophobic, which means it doesn't interact with water. Because peptide hormones are hydrophilic, but the cell membrane is hydrophobic, peptide hormones cannot pass through the cell membrane. This means they must bind to receptors outside of the cell and activate signaling cascades. Steroid hormones are hydrophobic. Because the cell membrane is also hydrophobic, steroid hormones can pass through the cell membrane. They can simply diffuse through the cell membrane and activate receptors found inside the cell. Lastly are amino acid derivative hormones. These hormones can either be hydrophilic or hydrophobic, depending on the type of amino acid it is derived from. For example, epinephrine is hydrophilic, meanwhile thyroid hormone is hydrophobic. If the amino acid derivative hormone is hydrophilic, it will bind to a receptor outside of the cell. That is, it is hydrophobic. It will bind to a receptor inside the cell. Because peptide hormones are hydrophilic, they cannot pass through the cell membrane and must activate receptors found outside the cell. Here, the peptide hormone acts as a first messenger that activates a receptor. Once the receptor becomes activated, it activates something else found inside the cell. For example, it may activate cyclic AMP, common second messenger. Then, cyclic AMP initiates a signaling cascade that results in phosphorylated CREB that can then act on DNA. In this example, the peptide hormone is the first messenger because it initiates the cascade from outside the cell, and the second messenger is cyclic AMP because it continues the signaling cascade inside the cell. Because steroid hormones are hydrophobic, they can pass through the cell membrane and can activate receptors found inside the cell. Therefore, no signaling cascade is needed. The steroid hormone simply just diffuses into the cell and acts on DNA directly. Amino acid derivative hormones can be either hydrophilic or hydrophobic. If it is hydrophilic, its pathway will be similar to a peptide hormone, which involves activating a receptor outside of the cell. If it is hydrophobic, its pathway will be similar to a steroid hormone, which involves direct diffusion into the cell.